The next topic is Gen AI-based counter-narrative campaigns. And it's my pleasure to call to the stage Dr. Ofer Weintraub. Yes, researcher at XPOZ. Ofer. Yes.
So hello everybody, my name is Ofer Weintraub and I work for XPOZ. And XPOZ, as it says, is really exposing manipulation campaigns. So it's really working on social networks. But what I'd like to describe today is a project of finding narratives. So these are narratives that someone said they want to look for, okay? Finding narratives, generating counter narratives, and then finding ways to expose the entire network. Okay, this is a special project, and this is a project that is being done with Professor Ben-Gal from Tel Aviv University and Professor Kobayashi from Waseda University in Japan. So yeah, let me dive into the details. So again, finding specific narratives, creating counter narratives, and identifying or exposing the entire network. So what are the typical attacker trends we see today? And this is taken from the OpenAI recent report. So basically content generation, and we'll show content generation. This is becoming super easy and super in a very low cost to in high quality to do. There is still mixing old and new because sometimes when you create fake or certain campaigns, you like image or videos to be created in the old ways, but you add text or some points in the image in the new way. And then there's also fake engagement. So you can create a post, a narrative, and to increase in popularity, you can employ either authentic users or fake user bots to create engagement, retweet it, for example, comment, like it, etc., etc. And last point is productivity gains. So instead, think of it, instead of having somewhere under the Ural mountain, a farm of 1,000 Russians working day and night, now you can have a single room, maybe with air condition. In Russia, they don't need it. It's cold enough anyway. But with 1,000 bots or agents that actually creating those narratives and those campaigns, and it's a huge productivity gain. So basically what Gen AI provides us is three pillars, okay? Scale, we can now generate millions of tweets and narratives at a low cost. So this is the second pillar, and at a very high quality. You'll see in a moment, it's everything that you'll see is generated by AI, and it's really becoming very hard to distinguish between content that is generated by human or by AI. Actually, sometimes humans are so bad that it's you can say it's human because it's not good enough. Okay, so what do I want to show here is a specific. The font was a bit broken, but you can connect it. So it's the project is about Ukraine-Russia war. Okay, and we define two personas. So when you think about how you can create narratives, we work in this project in three levels. Okay, you can create personas, in this case a pro-Russian and a pro-Ukrainian, but you can also tweak the persona. You can say this persona is a bit cynical, or this persona is humorous. Okay, so you can add more juice to the persona. So that's one thing, and then you can employ like one of 15 propaganda techniques, and there are probably more, but these are very well documented, and you can really use well documented and propaganda techniques that are already known to be work quite well. And the third level, which I won't go into here, is really personalized counter narratives. So we can take today let's say 200 tweets of a person and really analyze the psychological profile of this user and tailor a counter narrative according to the specific of this user. So maybe we want to trigger engagement, so we can find the trigger points, or maybe we want to convince him of something, so we can find what can convince him. But these are remember, there is personas. There are those categories or propaganda categories and personalization. So we took like two narratives which are very common in the pro-Russians, like Russians are saying we are a denazification and demilitarization of Ukraine, and we are countering NATO expansion and safeguarding Russian security. These are two very common narratives by the Russians. And then the Ukrainian says we are upholding our sovereignty and territorial integrity against Russian aggression, and we are seeking democratic integration with the EU and NATO as a sovereign right. So they say, yeah, we do work with NATO, but this is our right to do it, okay? So these are two typical narratives. And now the system that we are employing, you can think of it as, those of you who knows what is GAN, generalized adversarial networks, it's a network that generating plenty of narratives and really judge its own narratives and improve with a perpetual cycle all the time. So let's say we define, let's say in this project, we look for narratives that endanger democracy. So we define those criteria, and now we are looking at tweets or Facebook or Instagram, and then we have a classifier that says, okay, these tweets are interesting. We now take those tweets and transfer them to personas, which are agents, LLM-based agents, and those personas use different propaganda techniques and generating plenty of reactions. And those reactions are now being evaluated either by human evaluators to get feedback, or by LLM evaluation, as we do mostly, or even sometimes it's a gray area, but you can really push it back to, let's say, Twitter and see what engagement it creates. Once you have this, you can create a feedback loop, and the feedback loop really allow you to improve by various methods, DSPY, DPO, I won't go into this, the quality of your responses. So let's look at an example. I don't know, do I have a mouse here? Yeah, I do. So let's see if it's connected to the audio, but this is a Russian narrative.
Russia entered the war with Ukraine with the goal of denazifying and demilitarizing Ukraine.
Okay, this is a Russian well-known claim. And now the Ukrainian girl that you see is using different propaganda techniques. In this case, facts-based, so she's trying to describe the facts. Whataboutism. So whataboutism is really, you're saying X, but you're a hypocrite because what about Y? This is a very well-known way to escape discussion. And transfer and bandwagon, I won't go into details, I'll just show some examples. So we're using facts-based, this Ukrainian, this is all done automatically by AI. There's no such Ukrainian, it's all done by AI, of course, but
Russia's claims of denazification and demilitarization are baseless propaganda. Ukraine is a democratic country with a Jewish president. Russia's invasion is an unprovoked act of aggression violating international law and Ukraine's sovereignty.
Okay, so you see that she's now trying to use facts-based to answer this claim. Again, all AI, both the Russian and the Ukraine. And let's say take another example, of whataboutism.
While Russia claims to be fighting Nazism in Ukraine, what about the far-right extremist groups within Russia itself, such as the Wagner Group, which have been involved in conflicts abroad with Kremlin support?
Yeah, so here she's using whataboutism, but there are different other propaganda techniques. I just gave two examples, and here is the claim by Ukraine. Okay, so let me show this.
Ukraine is seeking democratic integration with the EU and NATO as a sovereign right.
And the Russian guy or the Russian persona is using other type of propaganda techniques like fear mongering, generating fear, false dichotomy. There is only two options, black or white, or A and B. There is no gray areas. Repetition, repeating a lot of times the same argument, and loaded language, which is emotional language, which is another technique. So let's see one or two examples. So repetition, again, generated by our Russian LLM.
Ukraine's NATO aspirations are a threat to Russia, a threat to regional stability, and a threat to global peace. This threat must be addressed. This threat cannot be ignored. And this threat will not be tolerated by Russia.
Okay, so this is a lot of repetitions to stick it to your head. And then loaded language.
Ukraine's treacherous leaders are betraying their own people by selling out to the corrupted imperialistic Western powers who seek to exploit Ukraine as a pawn in their ruthless quest for global domination.
Okay, so you see those bots or personas are generating a lot of content. As you can see, it's really high quality content, and I showed only a few examples, but in the project we are generating thousands and thousands of such responses, and then we can measuring, again, we can ask the LLM to measure the quality of the response. So in this case, this is the KPI was effectiveness in influencing large audiences, but we can really target to a personalized user that we want to influence. And here the LLM give you the score and the reason. Okay, so in the facts based is the highest score here because it's clear, concise, and factual in emphasizing Ukraine democracy and Russia violation of international law. But you can do two things here. You can use the high score narratives, or you can take the low score narratives and put them into this feedback loop to improve them to a level where they also reach a 9 or 10. So once we have all this salad of narratives, we also want to detect those fake networks, okay, those narrative-based networks. And so we are using various techniques. I don't have a lot of time here, but I'll just say that we have different types of clustering to understand the narratives and extract the users, and then put the users into different graphs to separate them according to authentic, non-authentic, sentiment, toxicity, a lot of different dimensions. And so you can see the green here are authentic bots, and darkened are those who are taken down. One more slide. And we can also look at other different dimensions like emotions and toxicity, and really drill down to see the users and explore the users by using these graphs to see different dimensions. And the idea is really to automate the entire process, and that's what we do, to really not only create those networks, but also detect them automatically. So we are creating poison and detect the poison, and it's a good business model, huh? Creating and detecting perpetually. But the idea mainly is to really detect those campaigns that are generated by bad actors. Thank you.